Vatic Ventures Corp. is a potash exploration company focused on the Korat Basin in Thailand, the world's largest undeveloped potash resource. Vatic's management has extensive potash exploration and development experience in Thailand. Vatic will have marketing advantage compared to Western producers. Drill program commences this spring. Vatic trades on the TSX Venture, symbol VCV, and on Frankfurt, symbol V8V2. Visit our website, vaticventures.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick. He's the senior analyst for WeissRatings.com. Welcome back to the show, Sean.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Canada has seen the biggest merger in the marijuana industry ever. Can you tell us about it?
Well, yeah. I mean, we saw Aurora is going to merge with like MedReleaf, and that's big in more than one way. For one thing, it really creates this big giant in the industry, but also it kind of indicates what we're probably going to see going forward, which is consolidation within the industry. My subscribers own Canopy Growth, and even though it's not involved in that merger, it really got a nice pop because of it, because people can say, you know what, now we've reached this stage of the industry. It was really, young, and it had all sorts of things both for and against it, but now we've reached the stage where we're starting to see big consolidations. That's a big one, but it won't be the last. We will see other ones as well, and I think we'll start to see some of that excitement come into the market. That said, even though we should see recreational legalization this year, there is something hanging over the marketplace, which is that now there's a fear that there will be too much production, and so that will really weigh on prices. And so that's really what's been dragging on the shares of all these cannabis stocks, and could drag on them going forward until we see, something really happen there.
Well, Jodie Emery, who spent time in jail with her husband for selling pot seeds in Canada, which is supposed to be legal. Anyway, she said marijuana shouldn't cost any more than a cabbage because they're both plants. And if you can buy a cabbage for $3 at the grocery store, you should be able to buy the equivalent amount of pot.
Yeah, well, on the other hand, I mean, we've seen some of these companies valued as if they grow something much more expensive. And so we'll have to see how that works out. I think there are some overvalued companies in the space. The kind of things that I'm looking at now, actually, don't actually grow marijuana themselves, because I think, yes, there could be a surplus situation. It's other companies that do things around the marijuana plant that I think have some real opportunities, could still have some tremendous growth in them. And so that's what I think people should look at. Though if you own a marijuana stock, you could do pretty well if it gets merged into something else. That actually might work out for you there.
Well, they might say they're worried about oversupply, but when Washington State legalized pot, and Colorado as well, their shelves were cleared out within a couple of hours of legalization, and it took them weeks, months in some cases to get resupplied.
But let me give you the flip side of that. If you look at a place like, say, Oregon, which has legalized stuff there, now down the road they actually have so much weed on the shelves that it has led to a surplus. So yes, there could be temporary short-term shortages, but people are probably thinking about the bigger long-term picture. Now, that said, this all-stock merger is worth $2.2 billion, and that's not anything to sneeze at. That is quite good. And the combined company can produce 1.26 million pounds a year of pot, and that's a tremendous amount. So, I mean, this merger creates a marijuana powerhouse. No one can take that away from them. But their fates may depend on factors beyond their control. We'll have to see how things work out.
What were the problems that you might have noted when the U.S. or the American states rolled out legalized pot? I mean, I didn't hear or see of any riots in neighboring Washington state. A lot of people here are scared that, oh my God, once marijuana is illegal, people are going to be laying in the streets, committing crimes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, there aren't any problems except in the really, in the imagination of Jeff Sessions. The problem is Jeff Sessions is the U.S. Attorney General. And so, since he's imagining all these terrible things and thinks that marijuana is worse than heroin and other weird things that really a demented Keebler elf has said, that's really what is weighing on U.S. marijuana stocks. That's why they're generally valued much less than their Canadian counterparts. However, the good news on that is Jeff Sessions won't last forever. And in fact, considering that the Trump administration has the highest turnover anyone has ever seen at the White House, maybe he'll be gone sooner than later. When that happens, I expect to wait to lift off the market. And we could see some real buying when that happens. You might want to be in position before it happens, and it could certainly happen this year. It could certainly happen next year. I don't think Jeff Sessions will last that much longer. And, because Trump is mad at him for a whole bunch of reasons that we don't have to go into here. But why he isn't gone already is a mystery, but I expect that he will be gone sooner rather than later.
Could you see the next Democrat candidate, whoever that might be a pro-marijuana person, just simply because the U.S. is starved for money to run its government?
Well, that would make sense, and you have to remember that the Democrats can't walk down the hallway without tripping over the wallpaper. They really do not do the common sense things. Now, the only thing that makes them look good is they're running against a pack of mad dogs. So, really, I wouldn't put any hopes on that. I'm sure they'll find some way to waffle and say, oh, we'll only do medical and stuff like that, when really the states and people in general are demanding that we legalize recreational marijuana and take the handcuffs off people in the industry so that people can actually make money on this. It should be licensed and sold the way that beer is. Basically, that's it. But that's not what's happening. Here in Florida, which is where I live, they are handing out growing licenses, but you have to be well connected to get them. So it's the friends and families of the small cabal in Tallahassee, which is our state capital, that actually get these licenses to actually grow marijuana. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that difficult. It should not belong to a small criminal gang that passes themselves off as the government. So we'll have to see how it goes, but I would not put any hopes on Democrats. It'll be a nice surprise if they do, but frankly, it'll be a nice surprise if some Republican candidate does too. Not all Republicans are anti-marijuana. I mean, sure, the ones that are loud and obnoxious are, but there are other people working within the party that are actually quite fine. Now, I'm not talking about Mitch McConnell. I'm not talking about Speaker Ryan. Those guys they just hate marijuana almost as much as Jeff Sessions does. But beyond that, there are people on the state level that are actually quite good. So we'll see what happens in 2020. I do believe legalization is coming. Right now, it just seems to be a state-by-state thing. Michigan could be next, and that's a huge state. So we'll see what happens there, too.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after the break.
Aben Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Aben's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at abenresources.com.
I'm Kelly Jennings, CEO of Powerband Solutions. Powerband is a cloud-based provider of auction, inventory, and finance solutions that make buying, selling, and financing vehicles more efficient. Powerband Solutions trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol PBX. For more information, please visit us at powerbandsolutions.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, what kind of action is taking place on the equity markets right now?
Well, right now we are talking Tuesday, and it is a grim grim picture. I call it pig biting ugly is what I would call it. It is terrible. This is mainly due to strong dollar and strong economic news, which is now making traders talk about maybe the Fed will hike, an extra time this year. And just that little piece of worry is enough to send things sliding like you would believe. Gold, too, is getting hammered down below 1,300. There is strong technical support at 1,380, and if you're looking at the GLD, it's about 1.3% lower than it is now if you're looking at a chart. So really strong support is close. That support doesn't have to hold. But I would look for a test of that support before things can go higher, really. And so we'll see what happens there. That said, so we have a strong U.S. dollar, strong economic news that's weighing on the market, despite all the giveaways and goodies they've had, like the big tax cuts and the cash coming from overseas that they're using for share buybacks. In fact, S&P 500 companies are on track to announce a record $650 billion in share buybacks this year. That's according to Bloomberg data that I grabbed. So $650 billion is a heck of a bid under the market. So if you're looking at equities, and if you think there are going to be regular buybacks from these big companies, you might want to find one of those companies that's making regular buybacks and buy some shares on the dips, on the pullbacks, because probably the company's going to be in there buying right alongside you, and that's going to support it. In this kind of environment, because there are concerns, about rate hikes by the Fed and stuff like that, we might not see a breakout despite all this tremendous cash waiting on the wings, waiting to come in. We might see what you might call rolling rallies or else rolling sell-offs, where money moves out of one sector of the market into the next, What I'm doing with my subscribers is I'm trying to find big themes, big mega trends of things that are taking place that's actually going to change the world, and trying to ride those trends with some success, sometimes with not, and just be in those stocks that are in industries that are poised for tremendous growth, whether it's electronic vehicles, defense, because it seems like we want to hammer everybody in the world right now, robots, drones, all those things. Those and more. Those are things that I'm looking at because there are select stocks in those industries. Cloud computing is another example that should do extraordinarily well going forward. And so if you see these big dips, that's when you want to add to those stocks because they're probably going to go higher. But will the whole broad market go higher? We've had a tremendous run-up. Many people seem really worried about all sorts of things now. It might be hard for the market to go higher. I would like it to. It makes my job easier, but I'm not going to count on it either.
Well, this is where, as you said, take a look at particular industries and particular companies and how well they're doing, because in some situations, no matter what, they'll probably still be pretty good.
Yeah. And those companies that have cash flow, that are in a expanding industry, that have products that are really well received and really considered the top of their class, and if those companies are also buying back their own shares, well, that kind of gives them an edge over some others. Or if you say want to look at gold miners, because gold miners are getting slammed right now, right? Well, a pullback like this is when you want to buy. That's actually the best time to buy. But you have to find those companies with low costs that are expanding their production and expanding their resources as well, that are able to keep a lid on things and have some really good prospects in a good country where the government won't go crazy and try and grab things. I can think of lots of places, say Africa, where you wouldn't want to go. So those are things to consider. We are seeing a pullback today. Will we see a pullback tomorrow? Could we see a correction for a while? A lot will really depend on the U.S. dollar. And one thing to keep in mind is with so many S&P 500 companies selling overseas, right? If the U.S. dollar goes higher, that makes their goods more expensive, which makes it harder for them to sell those goods overseas. So the strong dollar can weigh on the market in more ways than one. It isn't just fears about a hike from the Fed, it's like other things as well. So we'll have to see what happens with the U.S. dollar. It's had a nice move. I thought that the pullback would have been deeper, but obviously the market wasn't listening to me. So looks like the U.S. dollar is going to go higher. Where it stops, we don't know. There is overhead resistance not too far away, and we'll see what happens when it gets there. That's the U.S. dollar index up around 94. So we'll see what happens when it gets there.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead zinc silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan district of northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, oil remained strong throughout the winter, probably surprising a lot of people. What do you see over the summer?
Yeah, well, my oil positions are my best positions right now, and I'm adding new ones. You might say, that's crazy. Oil's at 71. How high do you expect it to go? Well, actually, Goldman Sachs and others have come out and said, you know what, with the trends in place that we see right now, we could see $100 oil next year, and it could be a pretty good move between now and then. Not a spike, but a gradual ramp up. And what I'm investing in is those oil companies that can make money at like $50 oil. They just tend to make a lot more of it when oil's at like 70 or 75. And if they pay a nice dividend, that's even sweeter because I like being paid to wait. I like companies that are increasing their production, that are working in the right basins. That's very important because some basins in the U.S. are much better than others. Now, I know up in Canada it's a different story. And actually, you have oil that gets trapped there because you don't have the pipelines to actually get it out of certain places. That is problematic. We are having that to a certain extent in the U.S., not quite as bad as Canada. But on the other hand, if the oil company up in Canada that you're looking at makes money at current prices and is increasing production, then we'll probably see prices continue higher into next year. That isn't a bad thing to be in. So I think oil is one of the better bets right now.
Is uranium still a glowing product?
It is, though. They are getting punched like a donkey today. I'll tell you. I mean, just smacked down, which is good. If you've been watching the price of uranium pick up recently and you've been saying, oh, I want to buy uranium stock, but I don't know when, and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? This is the kind of day when you might actually start to look at your short list and see what you want to own. Because pullback, a serious pullback like we are seeing now. This is because we've seen uranium stocks, just surge higher recently. So, of course, when the market turns around, those are the ones that are going to be sold immediately because people get those gains very quickly. They just got them recently. Those are the first things they're going to sell, and they're going to grab that money and just sit on the sidelines. Well, that gives you the opportunity to pick out your winners in the uranium space. We keep seeing news that the market is tightening. In fact, the last report on Kazakhstan said that in, I think, January through April, its production went down close to 4%. We are seeing a mine shut down in Africa. We are seeing increased a demand from Japan, from China, and places like that. So it isn't all the U.S. market. That is a mistake some people make, was that over the course of the next 10 to 15 years, many U.S. reactors will shut down unless their licenses are extended once again. But while the U.S. market is a big part of the market now, the future demand is coming from places like China and the Middle East and India and places like that. And so you have to keep that in mind, that there is going to be a lot of future demand. There doesn't seem to be any supply at current prices. Prices will probably have to go to at least $50 in order to bring new supply online. Though some people are saying that we won't see uranium miners really do anything until the price gets to like 75. So if you can find a company that can make money or is close to making money at current prices, that is not a bad thing to look at, especially on a pullback, the kind of which we're seeing this week.
Sean, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you. It's always great to talk to you. We have a lot of fun, both on and off the air, and I'll talk to you anytime.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Senior Analyst at WeissRatings.com. Sean, what are some of the other websites you're involved with?
Oh, you should look at Edelsoninstitute.com. In fact, I have a story there about oil. That was the last one that I just put up. And those are the free sites. If you go to the free sites, then you'll find my paid stuff. And you're always welcome to subscribe. You know, Wealth Supercycle is my monthly newsletter. We're doing great. And I'm looking for more good stuff out of there as well.
If you have any questions for Sean or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.